I never saw it coming. For 25 years, I was the ideal husband. I built a life with Vanessa, my wife, from nothing. We had met when we were young, me, a struggling entrepreneur trying to build a business, and her, a woman who claimed to support me in everything. I believe we were a team, fighting side by side to make our dreams come true. When I finally made it big, my company flourished, and I ensured that Vanessa had everything she could ever want: a luxury home, expensive vacations, a car that suited her tastes, and financial security. I never thought she would throw it all away for something as pathetic as a midlife crisis. But she did. It started subtly. She became distant. Our conversations grew shorter. Her laughter, the kind that used to be only for me, was now being shared with someone else. Then, one evening, she sat me down and dropped a bombshell. "David, I've met someone." I stared at her, trying to process the words. "You've met someone?" She nodded, completely unfazed. "He's younger, exciting, and makes me feel things I haven't felt in years. I don't want to hurt you, but I think it's time we go our separate ways." I didn't say anything at first, just stared at her. This woman, the one who had promised to stand by me through everything, was leaving me because I was no longer exciting. And then she delivered the real dagger to my chest. "You're just predictable now, David, and I deserve to feel alive again." That was it. 25 years meant nothing to her. I wasn't even angry at that moment. I was just numb. I signed the divorce papers a week later and walked away without a fight. At least that's what she thought. After Vanessa left, I hit rock bottom. The silence of the house was suffocating. The thought of her with another man haunted me every night. I could have wallowed in self-pity, but instead, I chose to rise. I buried myself in expanding my business empire, but I also started working on myself. I hit the gym. I changed my entire look. Gone was the comfortable, predictable businessman. In his place, the refined, confident, and powerful man. Then I took things a step further. I used my wealth to buy an elite gentleman's club. Not some seedy strip joint, but an exclusive high-class establishment where the wealthy, powerful, and elite socialized. It became a massive success, attracting celebrities, politicians, and business moguls. And I ran the whole thing. I had reinvented myself. I wasn't the David she left behind. I was someone she wouldn't even recognize anymore. And soon I would prove it. 3 years passed. Vanessa had been living her dream life, or so she thought. Her new boy toy didn't have the money, security, or lifestyle she had grown accustomed to, but pride kept her from admitting it. Then, one night, she unknowingly walked into my club, the very place I owned. I was sitting in the VIP lounge, sipping a drink, when I saw her walking with a group of her old friends. She was laughing, flaunting herself, and speaking loudly, probably trying to attract attention. And then I heard her say something that sealed her fate. "God, men these days are so boring. I need a real man again." I bet David is still miserable, probably living in some dingy apartment alone. Her friends laughed, but I smiled. She had no idea I was watching her from above. She had no idea she was standing in my empire, and she had no idea what was coming next. I decided to give Vanessa the humiliation she had been planning for me. I left the VIP lounge and walked directly toward the bar, making sure to pass right by her. She froze when she saw me. "David," she whispered, her eyes widening. I didn't even glance at her. Instead, I walked up to a group of stunning young women who were gathered near the VIP area. They were models, influencers, high-profile women who commanded attention. I smiled at one of them, a gorgeous brunette in a silk dress, and gently traced my fingers down her arm. "Tonight," I said in a deep, confident voice, "you're coming with me to entertain me." She giggled, leaning into me, clearly interested. Vanessa's jaw dropped. Her friends fell silent, their faces turning red with secondhand embarrassment. She had come here to humiliate me. Instead, she was watching me walk out with 3 gorgeous women, while she stood there, stunned, jealous, and completely humiliated. But that was just the beginning. The next morning, I received a message from Vanessa. I smiled. She had taken the bait. She had come expecting to see me as a washed-up, miserable man, only to witness the opposite. I was thriving, successful, surrounded by power and beauty. Now, she wanted to crawl back. I responded with a simple message. Meet me at the club. We'll talk there. She arrived later that evening, desperation clinging to her like cheap perfume. I let her talk, let her ramble about regrets, how she missed me, how she had made a mistake. Then I smiled and delivered the final dagger to her heart. Before we talk, I want you to meet someone. I gestured to the stunning woman beside me, elegant, confident, radiant. Vanessa, this is my fiancée. Her face shattered, her lips parted, but no words came out. Oh, I continued, savoring the moment. And one more thing, I own this club. Welcome to my empire. She stumbled back, her world crumbling before her eyes. But I wasn't done yet. Public humiliation was just the first step. I didn't want her to suffer for just one night. I wanted her to feel the same fall from grace I had endured when she discarded me. I wanted her to understand what it meant to be left with nothing. The first move? I made her a social pariah. For years, Vanessa had built her identity around being the wife of a successful businessman. She had access to high society, the finest events, the most exclusive circles. But those circles were mine now. My influence stretched into every elite gathering, every high-end business party. A few calls were all it took. By the end of the week, Vanessa noticed a shift. Invitations stopped coming. Friends stopped responding. The very people she once relied on turned their backs on her. And the best part? She had no idea why. Until she found out exactly what I had done. She wasn't as independent as she liked to pretend. Yes, she had a divorce settlement, but she burned through it quickly, spending lavishly on her new boy toy. Now she was struggling. I decided to speed up the process. Through my contacts, I had quiet whispers spread in her workplace, subtle, careful, about her financial troubles, her desperation. In the business world, desperation is a death sentence. Opportunities dried up. Job offers vanished. Her reputation was tarnished. Suddenly, she was forced to downsize, selling her luxury car, moving out of her high-end apartment, cutting back on the extravagant lifestyle she believed she deserved. And her new lover? He disappeared the moment the money ran out. Vanessa was now a shadow of the woman she once was. Broke, alone, socially ruined. But I wasn't finished. She needed one final lesson, one she'd never forget. I arranged a meeting. Not at a lavish restaurant or my club, at a modest, mid-range coffee shop. The kind of place she would have scoffed at years ago. She arrived dressed simply, her once polished confidence replaced by uncertainty. David, thank you for meeting me. I said nothing, letting her speak first. She hesitated, carefully choosing her words. I made a mistake. I was stupid, and I let go of the best thing in my life. I thought I wanted excitement, but I didn't realize how much I needed security. I know I don't deserve it, but can we start over? I stared at her for a long moment, then chuckled softly. Vanessa, I said smoothly, I think you're misunderstanding something. Her brows furrowed. What do you mean? I leaned forward, watching her squirm under my gaze. I didn't come here to rekindle anything, I said, my voice calm and controlled. I came here to see the woman who threw me away for a younger man, only to end up alone, broke, and begging. Her face paled. David, I raised a hand, cutting her off. You thought I'd be your safety net? That after you humiliated me, broke me, I'd take you back like some desperate fool? I smirked. I just want to see you realize firsthand that I traded up in you. You've hit rock bottom. Her lips trembled. Tears welled in her eyes. She had nothing left to say. I stood up, tossing some cash on the table. One last look, one final dagger to her soul. I hoped the younger men were worth it. Vanessa, because now, no one wants you anymore. And then I walked away. She tried to reach out after that. She texted, called, even showed up at the club. I ignored her. She had sealed her own fate years ago. She chose excitement over security, recklessness over stability, lust over love. And in the end, she was left with nothing. I, on the other hand, walked away stronger than ever. Will life she could never be a part of again. Because the truth is simple. Some betrayals can never be forgiven. And when karma comes knocking, it collects every last debt,